This is going to be the Sinister C6 detail video where I will describe to you the steps that I've taken to keep the car this clean and the paint in that good condition with 30,000 miles, and give you guys some tips and tricks that you can apply to your own car to keep them looking their best. To start, you'll need a number of detailing supplies. We'll go through each one as the step indicates. Step number one is cleaning the paint. Now normally, this is done with a 2-bucket technique after wetting the car and rinsing off any particles, going over the paint with a sponge or mitt, cleaning any imperfections. In my case, because the paint really never gets that dirty, I'm able to get by with a bottle of Dawn soap and water. Using a towel, I take off any dust, dirt, or grime to get the paint as clean as possible for the next step. During this step, I'm also taking note of any problem areas in the paint, places where I'm going to have to spend extra time correcting. During this part of cleaning, we're going to be correcting the paint, and that is removing a very fine layer of the clear coat so that the paint appears to have more shine. In this step, I like to use Adam's products. They have great customer service, great results, and most importantly, are easy to use. In this step of the painting of our paint correction, we're going to be using correcting polish. The way it's done is polish is applied to a pad in a small amount, and then using a polishing machine, which creates an orbital motion to protect your paint, we will apply this to the entire surface of the car. You start with the machine on and apply your product anywhere that you're going to be working. It is only once you have your product spread on the paint that will go ahead and turn on the machine, like so. Surface quickly, and that was to get an even spread of material on the paint. I'll now go back at my correct speed, which is slow, and applying about 3 to 5 pounds of pressure to actually have a correcting benefit. The material is worked until the residue becomes clear, telling you that you have properly worked it into the paint. We've now completed our correcting polish. And like I said before, what I really like about these Adams products is how easy they come off. I'm just lightly wiping down the paint, and all of our residue is removed. There are many companies who make polishes and waxes. My tip to you is to just pick one company and use all the products from a single company so that they're designed to work together. Next, you'll notice I'm using a microfiber towel. All the detailing in the world is ruined if you use a cheap towel. As long as they're soft, and there are no tags, you're safe. I tend to buy them from Costco or other surplus stores and get a large pack. You'll also notice the towels are clean. What I use used on the paint is only used on the paint and not used on other parts of the car to eliminate contamination. The next step in our sequence of paint correction is a finishing polish. What we're doing here, we've changed pads so that each pad is only being used with one product. We've lubricated a pad with our detail spray, and we're going to apply a small amount of product, again, to the pad. And using our same technique, we'll apply the product to the paint. Put the product over the paint, let her rip. Okay, so we've gotten our polish on. We're going to start removing it. The paint looks really good right now. We've done a lot of work, and the trick here, no matter what product you're using, is to take your time while you're doing your corrective phase, so that when you get to the actual shining part of paint, it's a lot easier because there's less imperfection you're trying to hide. Unfortunately, all paint will suffer some sort of wear and tear with use, but if you're taking good care of it, you can minimize it and help eliminate it between details. Now this phase of wiping down the car is very crucial because the next step is going to be a sealant. So I like to use a LED light and go over the paint and find all the areas where I've missed residue, so that when I come back with sealant, I'm not sealing over wax or polish residue and just sealing a bare surface of paint. Okay, coming up to the next step of detailing is going to be utilizing a paint sealant. Now, a paint sealant is when you're at the point where you feel your correction is complete, you're happy with your surface, and you want to protect it. A sealant can last up to 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the weather it is subjected to. It adds another layer of fill on your paint to help hide any imperfections that have gotten through the corrective phase, and it's applied in the same manner. We're going to use light pressure. You can do this one-handed and just cover the surface of the car. So now that the sealant is on, we're going to let that sit for about 30 minutes. It allows it to dry and become fully hard. In the meantime, what we're going to do is vacuum out the interior. This is pretty self-explanatory. It involves a vacuum, and it involves cleaning your interior of loose debris before we go ahead and clean the rest of the inside of the car. So, vacuum and interior, here we go. Now, depending on the type of car you have, you'll have a number of plastics within the interior. This car has soft and hard plastics. The harder plastics I just wipe down with a generic with an interior cleaner. Again, Adam's product, but a generic interior cleaner would work fine. The softer plastics, which we'll encounter in the compartment, in the passenger compartment, we'll address with a leather conditioner. Slightly overkill, but it keeps them soft. Now, some final touches I like to do on the interior is just push the carpet all in one direction. It really sets off the interior and lets you find any last pieces of dirt that your vacuum may have missed that you can pick out. It really shows that, hey, this is a car that was not just cleaned, but detailed. So there's a lot of different surfaces we're going to have to pay attention to on the interior of your car. First is your glass. For that, we're going to be using a body towel again, one that's preferably clean, so it does the best job possible. We're just going to go through and wipe down the glass. I don't use a glass cleaner because I tend to leave a residue or something. It just slows down the process overall. I also have my hand tucked within the towel so that my own skin is not leaving any marks. Like we were talking about, harder plastics, interior cleaner. Apply to a towel. I hate spraying a cleaner on the surface because it will leave residue and spray your cleaner everywhere, making a mess for you to clean up. So in this case, just wiping down all of your hard surfaces. I pick a point and move out so that nothing is missed. Our leather conditioner to all of our softer plastics. Door jams for last. The last material you'll be treating is the leather surfaces on your car, which, depending on what kind of model and make, will vary. Don't forget about your boot around the emergency brake handle. That is a leather item. Treating your center console is a good idea. We're now at the point where we're going to start cleaning the car's glass. You'll note I didn't put any sort of air freshener on the inside of the car yet. And I'm using my spray on towel method to apply a window cleaner to the glass surface. I clean in the left to right manner, top to bottom manner, switching towels, and then go ahead and take the cleaner off. Pay special attention to the edges that tend to be missed. Now, though I want the glass as clean as possible, it doesn't need to be perfect. We're going to come back and actually apply wax to it to help protect it from driving and bugs and things like that. Now, one thing that really bugs me is after finishing cleaning the car and going driving, I'll find that I've left spots on the windshield, whether inside or outside. So going over it with a light, you can see where your missed spots are. You can leave a piece of tape on them and go ahead and wipe them down from the inside. The last thing to do to complete your interior detailing is to spray your favorite air freshener. Give the car a nice, freshly detailed scent. Usually about 10 spurts on the chair and on the floor, maybe 10 in the back. Should do the trick. We close the doors and we let that sit. Now that it's been about 30 minutes, we'll go ahead and remove our sealant paint. And as expected, it's just rubbing right off. Minimal pressure is being applied. Now at this point, because we're done correcting, we don't want to be putting a lot of force on the paint and adding any new scratches. We're not going to be able to take anything out at this point without having to start over. So So it's important just to use a light pressure, a clean towel, and smooth motions to get all of your residue off. Great. So now the paint has been sealed. We've got all the residue taken off. We're going to go ahead and start cleaning the engine compartment. Same concept of cleaner on towel and just addressing all of the surfaces under the hood. And again, there's a multitude of surfaces ranging from steel to plastics to rubber. So each car is going to be a little different, and you'll have to address them per vehicle. So I like to start in one corner like I am here, and just make my way around the engine compartment. Some things just can't be wiped away, and you have to deal with them. What you may find helpful in some of the harder to reach places is either a straw to blow out any loose dirt, or a toothbrush to help clean any hard to reach places. Now once all of your surfaces are clean, you may want to dress them to help make them shinier and protect them. That's where something like Adam's In and Out spray comes in handy. It's a aerosol spray shine that you can spray over all of your rubber and plastic surfaces to make them shinier. Now you may not be using this product in particular. Whatever you use, make sure it's not flammable. You may elect to use is something liquid-based, like their VRT. Which simply gets applied to an applicator sponge and then rubbed into your hard plastic surfaces. We're getting towards the end of our detailing here. All that's really left are wheels, tires, and final wax. For the wheels and tires, just applying a generic wheel cleaner to a towel and rubbing over the surface, trying to collect as much loose dirt as possible. Now if your wheels are really soiled and you are washing the car, you would do the wheels first, but because I am not washing the car, I do the wheels last, so any dirt or grime I get on my hands is not spread to the rest of the car. Wheels tend to get damaged very easily or stained if the wrong cleaner was used. You notice right here I'm just making sure to get around the lug nuts and cleaning all of the surfaces. Finally, what you'll want to do is make sure that you clean your brake caliper. People tend to look at these. There. And finally, clean your tire. You'll see why in a moment. Something to note is that the towels you are using on your wheels should never be used on any other part of the car. Your wheels are subject to brake dust, which has metal flakes in them and will completely destroy any painted surface. At this point, we've got the wheels cleaned. We'll go ahead and apply wax to them. The wax does two things. It'll make them shinier, but it'll also help you keep any brake dust from sticking to the surface. So just like anything else on the car, I'm using Adam's buttery wax, some leftover I had from a few years ago. and applying it to the painted surfaces of the wheels. We'll also hit the red stripe. At this point, we're going to go ahead and apply a tire shine to the tire. And then using a foam applicator, work that into the surface. This will help create a longer lasting shine, as well as eliminate the possibility of tire slaying. Once we've got a good application, we'll go back with a clean towel and remove the wax that we applied to the wheel. Being careful not to get our towel into the tire shine. Going in this order also helps to prevent any of the residue stay on the red stripe and look sloppy. So by now at this point, you have your paint essentially perfect. It's as correct as it's going to be. You have polished it, you've sealed it. And just so everyone's clear, a sealant is a synthetic wax. It lasts longer than your Carnauba waxes. To actually make the paint shine, you go to a conventional wax, something that has Carnauba in it. That'll make the paint appear glossier, but not last as long. This is much more important on your darker colors, black, blue, red, something with a high gloss on it. What I'm doing now is shaking something called Brilliant Spray Glaze. This is offered by the Adams Company. Glazes are offered by premium companies, and this step can be skipped if you're on time constraints or if you're just using store-bought product. But it's applied to a pad. The speed of our machine is turned way down. I go to about 2. I'm not using the machine to work the product, I'm using the machine to apply the product. So it does not need to be going quickly. And really, all you're doing at this point is adding layers to the paint surface. So they're relatively easy to where you can apply with one hand. And I'm only spraying the product on paints or on your painted surfaces to help spread. As with any of your products, you apply them as thin as possible or until you don't see them going on the paint anymore. So again, cable over shoulder so it doesn't rub on your paint, and turn your machine on. So if you're just joining me, which I don't blame you, I didn't mean to make this video so long, I have pretty much finished detailing the car. I've gone through with polishes, and a polish's purpose is to fill any defects in the paint that appear as a scratch and lead the paint to be less shiny. I've used 2 types, a correcting and a finishing polish. Sometimes a correcting polish is known as a scratch remover, which is true because it helps remove very minor imperfections in the paint. And if you're using a orbital polisher like I did, you have slightly more power than going by hand. Your ability to correct is better. Stepping up to an actual buffer allows for more paint correction. However, you run the risk of improper use and damaging your paint. Once you've corrected your paint surface and you're happy with the way it looks, you seal it. You go through the paint with a very light coat of sealant, or what's called synthetic wax, that's designed to last longer and provide more protection, but not be as shiny as your traditional carnauba-based wax. After that, if you are looking for the absolute most shine possible, you would follow it up with a glaze, sort of an intermediate, followed by an actual carnauba-based wax. One concept that you should follow, no matter what car or what product you're using, is to use one product line from a certain manufacturer. I choose Adams products, but there's also Mother's, Meguiar's. There's many different detailing companies out there. It's always a good idea when you are applying any product to the paint is to spread it first before working it in. I tend to do 2 coats of wax for the most shine possible, and following the manufacturer instructions for this product, I do about a quarter of the car at a time. Right now, I'm using left to right motions. My second coat will be up and down motions, giving me essentially perfect coverage. Wax can be applied to any surface of the paint that is shiny. That's your glass, any painted surfaces, any chrome surfaces, or anything that you want to appear more lustrous. With any detailing product that you're going to use on your car, you should always make sure to have clean towels and plenty of towels. In the event that you have dropped a towel on the floor, it should be discarded, or at the very least washed. If you're using a quality microfiber towel, it's designed to trap and hold dirt particles, which are found on your floor and you do not want on your paint. Also, I tend to downgrade towels. That is, when I find that they're not working as well and they've been washed a few times, I'll use my exterior towels on my wheels, which are powder coated, or tires or engine compartment, areas of the car less prone to scratching. You'll see that waxing is not hard. You'll also notice that I have not addressed any of the exterior trim yet. And that's because they're going to require a dressing, something oil-based, that would be getting caught in my towel right now and spread over my paint surface. You can tell if a towel is getting full, like this one, because it's leaving a residue if I just touch the paint surface. If that's the case, you flip it and keep going. You don't need to use 2 towels at once. I simply do it to move faster. Speed is not the goal when detailing a car. you can expect, if it's your first time, to spend about an hour per coat on a normal sized car. Longer if you have a larger vehicle. This is normal. Your goal here is to make the paint, and the whole car for that matter, look perfect. You've put a lot of work into it, whether you've bought it or modified it, and you'd like it to look its best. Some other tips: I tend to have an order when you're cleaning your car. That is, do the same order each time so that nothing's forgotten. The last thing you'd like to do is get to a car show and realize that you haven't coated your tires, or you forgot to clean your wheels. Whatever your order may be, do the same order each time. Also, clean your car when it's cool. Most products, unless specifically noted, are not designed for a hot paint surface. They will not work well, or they evaporate too quickly, become difficult to remove, whatever. You should be doing them on cool paint surfaces, so either have the car in a garage or detailing first thing in the morning. Late at night also works, depending on whatever you like. So paint looks pretty good on this car. It has 30,000 miles. I've never buffed it, not yet. And I don't plan to. Corvettes tend to have really thin clear coats, leaving a lot of room for problems. So, I hope you found this helpful. The only step that would be left at this point is taking an LED light and running over the surface. So I'll have to come back and take that off. But removing any last wax residue, things that you can't really see without extra light, and then coming back with some sort of shine product, in my case Adam's undercarriage spray, and applying it to your exterior trim, being careful not to get it back on your paint. Once all that's complete, you're done. I tend to be able to use a towel once or twice per car before it needs to be itself washed or discarded or somehow managed. If your towels are exceptionally soiled, feel free to do something about them sooner. You don't win an award for keeping a towel for a long time. So again, I hope you found this helpful. I do enjoy detailing cars. If it's requested, I can do another video for my daily driver, something that sees a lot more wear and tear, and talk about the difference in steps that you would take on a car that you drive every day and not necessarily looking to show. Oops, did that. That got 2 coats. That's fine. So yeah, leave comments, like, subscribe, and I can make more videos like this for you guys. Have a good day.